Welcome back to another Barber on the Bars. We're back out at Afton Lake. Just can't seem to stay away from here these days. Mostly because it's a very convenient, close ride from the house. But also it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful, sunny, I think it's like 70 degrees today, 71 or something like that. Couldn't ask for better weather today. The rest of the week's been looking like rain, so figured we better get out here and do this thing and take advantage of the weather. So I got the guys at the shops working, and they're being productive. Got beautiful C8 E-Ray in for a bunch of work at the detail shop, and a couple of diags and such at the shop, at the repair shop. So figured while everybody was busy doing their thing and I'm all caught up on the back end stuff, I'd jump out of there and record a vlog and kind of talk through some things. So last week's episode, I planned on talking about the bike, the reason for the Hayabusa, or that's, the current reason at least, why I wanted it so bad, why it was something that I just had to have. I remember out on a ride with my dad when I was younger. We were out, I don't remember, we were going on some group ride to meet my uncle and my cousin in Topeka for lunch, and they were coming down from Nebraska. It was supposed to be this real good time, and we stopped at a gas station just outside of Wichita on our way out for gas, and I think we were meeting a couple of guys or something, I don't remember, but I picked up a magazine, a Cycle World magazine, and they were unveiling the 99 gold Hayabusa, and it was the first 200 mile an hour, from the factory bike or whatever. And from that moment on, I always had my eyes set on one. And then in 2008, the year this one is, the beautiful orange and black pattern came out, and I just fell all in love with it all over again. They had redesigned it and changed a lot of stuff, and I really liked the way they changed everything. And it was the first year for the second generation, and so this one popped up in really good shape with decently low mileage. It had been ridden, I think it had 30,000 miles on the odometer when I picked it up, and now we're getting ready to cross 50,000, I think. So I've put about 20,000 miles on it in the last few years. So there's been lots of opportunities for thinking taken on it. But that's why, it just right place, right time, kind of fulfilling the dream. And thankfully my wife was all supporting. It's funny, I tell the story, I was sending her, just trying to break her down. I was sending her all sorts of motorcycles. I just wanted two wheels of my own again instead of borrowing other people's, or, just getting short little rides on other people's bikes. And so I sent her this one, and it was always a no immediately on anything else I sent her. And I sent her this one, and she said, "Do you think we can go look at it tonight?" And I knew at that moment it was on, and she knew how much this bike meant to me, and how it was a dream to own one and this color. And so that support is huge. She knew that this was what I would have wanted the most out of everything, and the second the opportunity arose, we jumped on it and went and looked at it and brought it home the next day. So that support's huge, right? Like, and that goes so far beyond just getting my favorite motorcycle, my dream motorcycle. That's the businesses. That's, the day I told her I was done working for corporate America, it was around COVID, and I got laid off in IT. And so I decided at that point, I already had this thing going kind of on the side on the weekends, and we were hustling, and the detail shop, that is, we were hustling and staying busy every weekend. And So when I got laid off, I just told her, I said, I'm done. We're gonna see what happens here with this. Let's give it a fair shot. And as much as she didn't want that, because she wanted the security of a 9 to 5, so to speak, right? I think, most people do. But she let me, and it wasn't easy. To say it was all sunshine and rainbows was be lying to you, and anybody in business knows better. But it was good, and it was good enough, and it allowed me the freedom to be available for the kids, if they weren't in school or daycare, and allowed me to not miss anything anymore, not have to worry about missing events and things like that for the kids. And just felt a sense of fulfillment and happiness that I had never felt working a full-time job before. And so, we did that for years. That was the only business. She's got a steady job, and for the most part, I think that's where she wants to be. I think everybody wants that freedom of, self-employment, the ability to be out here riding at 2:00. I've been out on the bike, did some business meetings and stuff all afternoon. And so it doesn't really feel like work, and it certainly doesn't look like work, but it was work related up to this point. And so, but just being able to say, you know what, things are getting taken care of here. I'm going to go handle this other stuff. And so, I think everybody deep down wants that sense of freedom, but the struggle is it's not such a freedom. That freedom comes with a lot of long nights and weekends and stints where you don't have a day off for months at a time because you just got to stay hustling or else something's going to fail, right? Like you can't have this ability without going through the struggle. And that's not to say there's not still struggle ahead. It's not all sunshine and rainbows either way. And both come with their positives and negatives. But, we're out here. And now I get to talk with you guys. So, but yeah, the support system that you have defines a little bit the success that you'll see, I believe. She didn't like it, but she stuck behind me, stood beside me, and has always been ride or die with it. If that means she takes a change of clothes to work and goes to the detail shop as soon as she gets off work while I'm at the other shop working, and gets started or finishes a product or a job, whatever she does. And you just don't find that with everybody. And it's taken, the trust, when I approached her about the repair shop and I was talking to her about it, I expected it to go a lot differently than that conversation did. I fully expected her to bring up all of the struggles and all of the downsides and everything that we've dealt with over the last few years with the detail shop, and kind of as a way to gently let me down, so to speak. Instead, she said, yeah, I think, if you feel like that's a good move, I trust you. And having that trust is game changer, man. Like, I don't ever want, and I would never recommend somebody doing something without their spouse's support, or without their grace, at least, their approval. But man, when your wife or husband, whoever, supports you like that, it's different, and so it was a sigh of relief, so to speak, when we had that conversation, that I went into it prepared to fight for it, and I didn't have to. And it's been mostly good, right? All businesses, like I've said, ups and downs, and that one's no exception. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, and it never will be. When you have employees, you're not the one running the show. things happen that maybe wouldn't have otherwise or whatever, and there's no specific instance that I can even go into off the top of my head because I've got good employees and they know that I trust them. And so they always go above and beyond to make sure the job's done the right way the first time. And I support that. And they know that. So that's not a concern. And it's not something that I've had to deal with. I'm sure it will come, right? Growth brings new employees. New employees bring new struggles and challenges. And those are just things we have to tackle as they come. But the support, whether it's your significant other, whether it's your mom and dad, whether it's your brother or sister or your best friend or whatever the case may be, if you don't have that support that is right there behind you and beside you, I guess, it's not necessarily, but you don't have that support system that keeps you going when the struggle is at its all-time high. It gets really challenging to want to keep beating yourself up for nothing, to just not see a difference. And so I'm very fortunate to have that support system in my family, my kids, my wife, my in-laws, aunts, uncles, friends, they support me and believe in me, even when I don't believe I'm doing right. And you just can't replace it. So I would say make sure, you're either about it or you've got that support system, because I feel like I'm about it, and I certainly felt like I was about it. Oh, that's neat. Well, our seaplane sidetracked, squirrel. But I truly felt like I was about it. And even still, that support system lifts me up right when I need it the most, every time. And so I think that's really the key takeaway here for me today, is that support system is key. That one of those business meetings I was talking about was with another business, and he was needing some assistance with detailing, and I walked in there, and my wife, she was like, "Oh, you got this, no big deal. Like, you're gonna be taking care of them and by next week." And I always try not to go in there with that level of confidence and that cockiness. But it's just, I'd rather be disappointed up front than disappointed later. And so that's just kind of who I am. So I always go to the worst possible outcome first. And, it ended up being a fantastic meeting. And sure enough, starting next Wednesday, we're going to start taking care of their fleet. And it's going to be good. It's going to be a really good business to business relationship. And I think, when two small businesses can combine or join forces to help one another, life gets good really quick. And so I love seeing other people succeed. I want to see other people succeed. And so getting to be part of that success is even better. But so that, she's overly confident that that's going to be a home run, and there's not going to be anything that could possibly go wrong with it. And she was absolutely right. It went perfect, and there was a great conversation, and I think it's going to be a fantastic relationship going forward. And that's a huge positive for the business this week, with that new employee. As a business owner, you got to keep your employees busy, because if you're not keeping them busy, there's no point in having them. And so it's been a constant struggle trying to keep pushing and selling and making sure that he stays fed and his family stays fed. And so that was a huge weight off my chest, because if for no other reason, I know I can keep him fed off of that business's work every month alone. So if nobody else is buying, I know they will be, and that makes a huge difference. So huge win for the week, huge win for the shop, and a huge win for me. I'm very excited to have that relationship. Those customers are some of my favorite customers that I get to work with on a regular basis, because they're just another source of referral, right? Somebody shows up and wants to know where they're getting their vehicles detailed. They can send them my way, and likewise, I can send people their way. And so it's just all upside. So yeah, if you have a business, leave me a comment below. Tell me about a business win that you had this week, or that that something positive in life, whether it's business related or not. That's fun. It's good to hear other people's success, and so I would love to hear about yours. What's something that lifted you up this week, or recharged you, so to speak? I'd love to hear it and know what's going on. Like I said, this community is what I want to build, is a community of people that could lift each other up in a time of need in the comment section. I'm not looking to tear people down or break people down. I want to know about your wins. I want to know about your losses. If there's something that's really hurting you or bothering you this week, leave that in the comments too. Maybe somebody else will have a solution for you. But I guess with that, we're going to start rambling here momentarily if I don't get off. So thank you guys for sticking along, going for another ride around my thinking place with me, and for watching. I hope that something I've said impacts you in some positive manner this week, and that you guys have a wonderful weekend. So again, like, share, subscribe, tag a friend in a post or something. I appreciate all of the people that are here currently, and look forward to talking to many, many more of you in the future. Thanks, guys.